welcome back to Bookkeepers Bootcamp. I'm Zoe Whitman, I'm here with Jo Wood, and we're joined by Katie Skelton this morning. Hi Katie, how are you?
Hey, good morning, I'm very well. How are you guys?
We're good, aren't we, Jo?
We are really, really good. It's day 3 of bootcamp. If you're joining us for Bookkeepers Bootcamp, please get in the comments and let us know if you're here live or hashtag replay so that we know when you're watching. And how is everyone feeling today? Third day, I can't believe it already.
I know, and hopefully it'll be a little bit cooler today. But yeah, let us know in the comments where you are, what you're doing. And we're going to have a chat this morning with Katie about email marketing. Email is Katie's thing, although I think this conversation is going to go in all sorts of directions around marketing. Katie, do you want to start by telling us a bit about what you do and who you help?
Yes, sure. So I'll try and keep it in a fairly small nutshell. So I help mainly service-based business owners to up-level their email marketing, or my signature program is called Revive. So it's all about, if you started building an email list in the past, we'll help to revive that email list, get you engaged with your subscribers, and also just look at all the kind of journeys and stuff that people go through when they come into your business, and help you actually make use of email marketing where you might not previously have been doing so.
Okay, Katie, so let me go right back to the basics, because not all bookkeepers are used to the term email marketing. Like, we are very used to emailing our clients and telling them that their VAT return is due and telling them that they need to give us information. And that's mostly how most bookkeepers will utilize email. How do you turn it into a marketing tool, and how do you get these like addresses so that people that will want to hear from you like actually give that information up?
Okay, good question. So going right back to the beginning, I would say that the majority of people who are watching are using social media in some way to promote their business or some kind of social media presence. That is kind of where I would always start with email marketing. Think about where you can give any additional value to people who are following you on social media, and finding ways of kind of pulling them off of your social media and into your email list, which is where you can have more of a deeper connection with people. You can give people more value. You can make them feel like, I always say, I make my email, or try and make my email list feel like my VIP. So that is kind of the ultimate aim. I'm not sure if I actually answered your proper question then, Jo, sorry.
No, you did. So it's about and that's the analogy I wanted. So you're very used to, most people understand that how you use social media to market your business. But what you're saying is those same people might want to hear from you through email, and it can be a bit more of an intimate chat. It can feel a little bit more one-to-one because it's coming to the inbox, and they can also reply to you as well, can't they? So it doesn't have to be a one-way street. But I think people might I think over time we talk more all the time about social media marketing, but email marketing isn't something that's always utilized, but it can be so powerful. So you've said there, one of the reasons why it can be powerful is because it can make them feel like a VIP. And I think we're so bombarded with social media that actually you're in a different headspace, aren't you, when you're reading email compared to social media? So why do you think email is so effective for communicating with your ideal clients?
Well, for a start, generally speaking, more people on your email list will see your emails than will see every single social media post. So the likelihood of people seeing the message that you're sending is higher, even if your list is small. I don't have that many people on my list, but my list is engaged, and I feel like I know everybody. So I feel like it's a way, especially right at the beginning, you're in a really unique position to actually get to know the people who are on your email list as individuals, as business owners, as humans, rather than it just being a kind of shouting into, sometimes you feel like you're shouting into an empty room on social media, and sometimes you feel like everybody's flocking to you. It definitely feels a lot more intimate, and it feels a lot more like you can build those as you said, build those one-on-one connections and get to know people as human beings.
That's really interesting, because one of my biggest hobbies is collecting people's emails, and they're actually the marketing email. I like to receive email because I like to see what people are sending out, and I think that your email address is a really precious thing. I don't want to hold anything that I don't need, and I feel quite cautious about giving away my email address, but if I know I'm going to get something valuable in return, I'm happy to share it and then see what their emails are all about. But I can remember doing this, I suppose a few years back now, to see what other bookkeepers were doing, and finding that generally what I was getting if I joined a mailing list, you know, when you have that like box at the bottom of the website and it's like stay in touch, join our mailing list. And if you sort of sign up for those kind of things, sometimes all I was getting was just a big list of, here's a deadline, here's something that HMRC have published, here's I don't know, we're closed on this date, that sort of thing. And I think that sort of put me off the idea of email marketing, because in our industry, it's different to marketing. Like it's different to like if you're a marketer and you talk about, I don't know, this cool thing happened and this relates to my product in X, Y, and Z way. I feel like bookkeepers don't feel like that's something that they can do, but I'm clearly wrong. And I think you're going to tell me that I'm completely wrong. But how do we get away from this idea of I need to have this like bulletin? Yeah, that's the word, isn't it? Bullet list of all this stuff people need to know that they're never going to read, and turn it into a personal conversation instead.
I think that's a real hangover from the days of email marketing being really boring. And I think people have actually really started bringing their personalities into emails now. But you're right. I think that scenario that you just described, Zoe, is really familiar to me, in that I think that that's what happens when people feel like they should have an email list. And so they put that little box at the bottom of their website, because you should have somewhere to sign up for your newsletter, because that's what everybody's told you. You should collect email addresses because you own it and you don't own social media, and you might get kicked off LinkedIn or Instagram at any given time. And you hear that and you do the thing, but then actually there's not really any thought or strategy, or it is strategy, or even thought about what you want to get out of it for yourself. A lot of the work I do with my clients is we'll sit down and we don't just say, what do you want your subscribers to get out of this? What do you want to get from it? What actually do you ultimately want to achieve by emailing people? And if you don't know the answer to that, then it's probably worth trying to work it out before you start emailing people, because if you start emailing with those just bulletin update type things, it can get boring very quickly. And it's difficult if you're in an industry that people don't see as sexy. Or I work with a plumbing and heating company. When I first spoke to them, they were like, oh, how do I make boilers sexy? They are absolutely smashing it, because they've got the like foundations completely nailed now. And they're like, they're not even in my area. And I love reading their emails, because they've just got their kind of values and their humanity and their personality and everything in it. And it's so lovely. So if a boiler company can do it, anyone can do it, frankly.
Oh, that's so cool. I want to sign up to their emails. I think I'm thinking about like when you used to get told if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, I'm now thinking if you haven't got anything of value or fun or nice to say, don't say, like, you're better off not sending that up to date on tax dates and filing dates. Don't send that. Like, don't feel you're going to do more damage than good, because if you send out something like that and not really had that strategy and thought behind it and about what you want to get from it and how you're going to get that and how you can like spread some joy and fun, and it doesn't, God, don't send that tax update email. Like it's not relevant. It's not going to give you the outcome that you're looking for. We've had a question from Kath, who has said she's just on this process right now. There's a couple of words in here that I want you to help us understand what she's saying, because Kath is on her journey, which is amazing. So my lead magnet, is something that we need to talk about, has just gone live. My very first one. Am I on the right track? Is this still the thing to do? Would I send people to my website to download my lead magnet? So many questions.
Thank you, Kath. Those are very frequently asked questions as well. So just for anybody who doesn't know what a lead magnet is, it's basically some kind of download or resource or something that will encourage people to sign up for your email list. So rather than me just posting on social media or putting on my website, do you want to be part of my newsletter or my email list, I will create something that's of value. So that could be a tutorial video that would help you do something yourself, or a download or a checklist or an ebook. The possibilities are endless with lead magnets, but that's essentially what a lead magnet is. Are you on the right track, Kath? I'm sure you are. One thing that I would be wary of is getting people on your list via your lead magnet, and then that's it. And they kind of just sit kind of gathering dust like a moldy old pea under your fridge for ages and not really doing anything. So one thing that I have a lot of, not debates, but a question put to me a lot. Should I focus on a lead magnet first, or should I build my newsletter first? And I'm 100% newsletter first, just because if you're in the habit of regularly emailing people with stuff that's of value, when you have that lead magnet and you're then pulling people into your email list, you're immediately nurturing them. Even if you're not writing any welcome emails or anything, you're immediately bringing them into your world and into that kind of regular cadence of your emails. Without that, it sometimes feels like a bit of a wasted opportunity, because if they gather dust for too long, then they'll become disengaged. And then when you finally email them, they might forget that they've ever signed up and mark you as spam, because they go, "Who's Kath?" So not that I'm going to say that, Kath. I know full well who you are now.
If that's happened to you, so if you have collected an email list, and also I'm thinking, like, for our bookkeepers, you have clients and you have their email address anyway, and you have reason to be in touch with them. So if you haven't emailed for a while, or you have had a lead magnet before, or you've been sending an old-fashioned newsletter before, and you're like, right, I need to revamp this, how do you remind people who you are and tell them, oh, by the way, I'm going to start sending you emails every week or something? Do you do that?
Yes. So this is one of my favorite things that I do with clients who've actually built a list in the past and aren't really doing anything with it. So what we usually do is we'll go through the whole strategy piece of work. So you've got a really clear idea of what your objectives are, what your content pillars are, like email specific content pillars that feed into your other marketing activities that you're doing elsewhere. And then you can go back to your list and I've had people be really successful with just sending an email saying, "I've let you down," or like a jokey little kind of, I know you haven't seen me for 42 years, but here I am kind of thing. And then, so as well as acknowledging, yes, it's been a long time, then going into, now you've got the strategy in place, going into promising what you're going to give them in future. So once you've done that strategy piece of work, it's really easy to go, right, this is what I'm going to give you. This is what I'm going to email you every Monday. Giving myself as an example, I'm going to email you every Monday morning, 7:17 a.m. And this is what you're going to get. And these are the kind of nuggets of information and stuff that you're going to get from me. My newsletter is called PECs, and they're called my PECs promises. And every time someone signs up for my newsletter, they'll get a welcome email saying, these are the promises. If you ever catch me not doing these things, feel free to call me out or unsubscribe, because this is my promise to you. And in return for trusting me with your email address, this is what you're going to get from me and the value you're going to get.
I love this approach. It's very human. It's very, I've messed up. Even if you was to say, because how many of our clients who are also business owners, who have also got a load of emails, addresses from their current customers, and most probably don't have an effective email list, for you calling it out, saying, "I've let you down. I've had your email for ages and I've done nothing with it and wasn't really sure what to do with it. But now I've got a strategy and this is my promise." How refreshing, because in turn, you are adding that as a new string to your bow, which actually, and this is what bookkeepers need to realize, is that this advisory piece is actually anything to do with business that you're learning as a business owner can be a transferable skill to your clients, where they can benefit. At the end of the day, why are we here? We're to help people make more money. So all our skills can be, put into that. I absolutely love the fact we just call it out. We just say, "Hey, I didn't know how to do this before, and I've learned a new skill, and here's my promises, and I'm going to do it." I think I'd really welcome that email. I'd be like, wow, because you're actually showing me it's okay to have not known what to do. And we don't all know everything, do we? So what is that's like night and day between sending out this like boring bulletin. How important is it to bring the human element into emails when maybe, this might be something new that you've never done before?
Do you know what? I think it's one of the most important things that you can do in marketing in general, because the ultimate aim when you're trying to find clients with your marketing is to connect with them in a way that aligns with your personality and your values and the way your brain works and the way your schedule works, and like all of this stuff will help disqualify people, if you like, and put people off who aren't the right fit for you, and draw those people in who are thinking, oh my goodness, yes, when I'm ready to work with a bookkeeper, you are 100% the person I want to work with, because you believe in the same things as me, or you live in the same area, or just any little kind of snippet of information that might make people go, oh, we're really similar. And that's a really nice way of actually connecting with people you really want to work with, rather than having discovery call after discovery call with people you're going, oh no, we're not a good fit, because your marketing hasn't connected with them on that human level.
Yeah. Thinking about everything that we learn about how we can use email marketing, I feel like this is all completely transferable across other platforms. And I know there are lots of people here who I see on social media every day, actually lots of you I can see in the comments, and you might be thinking, oh, an email's just like an extra thing, I don't know if I have the time for this. Is it something that can be inspired by other stuff we're doing on social media?
Definitely it is. And the majority of people I work with come to me going, oh, I don't know if I've got the time. It takes me ages to write an email, or I've got nothing to say. I see people posting on LinkedIn every single day who then come to me and go, I've got nothing to say. Well, you clearly have, because you're writing a LinkedIn post every day of the week. So if you've got stuff to say on social media, you have 100% got stuff to say in emails. It's just a little kind of tweak to approach that's required. But I've forgotten what your question is, Zoe. I'm really sorry.
Okay. My question was, how do can you combine what you're doing on email marketing with social media? Would you like take a direct copy? Is it like just inspired? How do you do that?
So from beginner's perspective, what I would usually do, I wouldn't usually advise taking, a lot of the big creators do this, but I wouldn't advise taking a social media post and publishing it or sending it to your email list after you've published it on social media, just because I think that takes away from the exclusivity, if you like, of people being on your list and the additional value that they're going to get. So if you're going to do that, I would say flip it on its head and do the email first. And then, so I've got a client who is a coach in the sustainability sector, and she has written a series of really lovely emails about communicating sustainability to children, and then has repurposed it as a series of LinkedIn posts towards the last kind of 2 weeks of the summer holidays. And that's worked really well for her, because she's actually written these kind of bigger pieces of content and then chopped them up into smaller bits to post on social media. So that saved a bit of time. This is part of a wider email marketing strategy, but it's definitely made use of stuff that she's created, and it doesn't just have to then go out to your email list and then sit there forever, although my emails regularly do, and I probably need to do something about that.
But I suppose when you've got that, if you start with that email and you're giving your best kind of version of it at that point, and then you're repurposing it. But even if you don't, Katie, like you say, you've got all of these emails sitting there, they're still there. They're still there for you to repurpose at a later date, aren't they? They're like your, pillar kind of best work for your VIPs. And then you're kind of giving snippets and like little snapshots, like, little smaller pieces of it for social media. I really like that idea. That's kind of flipping it on its head. I've never thought of it like that. I think often we think of the social media post and then think, oh my goodness, I've got nothing to write for email. So I like that it's kind of like thinking of the people you're speaking to in like an order of who gets the best and the most pure kind of content from you. And then, so that's why people will want to be on your email list if you can communicate that. So how do we get people to reply to an email, and know that it's working? And Zoe's very good. Like, she knows our open rates and things like that. So we know if it's working and I see emails being responded to. But how do you go about that? How do you make someone want to think, oh, this is not just a marketing piece that I've got to read and then just sit about. I want to respond and give my thoughts back.
Okay, so I've got a couple of ways that I really like to do this, and they're really simple ways as well. The first one is just asking really simple questions, and it doesn't have to be business questions. This is going back to the bringing the whole human to your marketing kind of thing. You can just, a few weeks ago, I had my emails are quite short, but I had an email that was kind of longer than usual. And usually my PS section at the bottom will be a bit of a kind of promo sales section. And I thought, probably a bit much for this week. I'm going to scrap that. So I just put, PS, what's your favorite burger topping? And I got absolutely flooded. Like everybody wanted to talk about burgers, but it was just a really nice way to start conversations with people. I got a few leads off the back of it, calls in my diary, just because I said, I then replied to them going, oh no, gherkins have no place on burgers, or agreeing with Zoe's. Zoe and I aren't friends anymore. You can have all my gherkins, Zoe, it's fine. But yeah, just really
I'm a
simple.
gherkin convert. I'm like, I don't know which. I've thought all my life until I was 40 that I hated gherkins, and then the last little bit I'm like, oh, I quite like them. I had one on a hot dog the other day, so I don't know where I stand.
I'm gonna have to share them between you. You're definitely welcome to mine. Definitely. I'm not a fan. I don't know what it is. It's the dill flavour is not my thing. Anyway, totally forgotten what I was talking about now. Burgers, questions. So every time I ask a really simple question like that, people will respond. And especially if it's stuff that isn't too heavy or isn't business related, you don't have to go, well, where are you in your business right now? And actually, open-ended questions like that don't really work for email engagement, because if people have to write more than a line, like one sentence, two sentences, they probably won't bother anyway. So I tend to ask yes or no questions, or like those silly kind of frivolous questions. I mean, one of my favorite questions is, what's your favorite flavor of crisps? Because I'm well known on LinkedIn for being into crisps. So it's a good conversation starter. Everybody has a favorite snack, or they tell me that they hate crisps, and then we have a conversation about that. So it's, again, it sounds really silly, but it's part of me and my personality and what I bring to my business, and it works. So yeah, simple questions, yes or no questions, or like simple kind of fun questions work really well. What else in terms of engagement? Another thing I really like doing is kind of involving people in, again, not saying what kind of content do you want to see from me, because I should already know that, and B, if that is too open-ended, then people just go, oh, I don't know, just whatever you want. So if you can give some like multiple choice or something like that, then that can help. So if you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm thinking of creating a new resource, a checklist that will help you with something, option A, this, option B, this, option C, this, and people will reply, and it helps you work out at what point in their journey they are as well. So it gives you an opportunity to think, oh, okay, so that person is probably a little bit too early in the journey to work with me now, or that person kind of gone beyond it and they need something else, some kind of other support. So it's just a good way of not benchmarking people, but just qualifying people a bit more as well, in a friendly way, rather than a really kind of harsh, businessy, traditional business qualification way.
I think that can be quite daunting, can't it? Because if you think, like for bookkeepers, you might have clients that you do a lot of work for every month. So if you're doing like the full process for them, they're your sort of bigger clients, and you want to know who those people are so you can have conversations about, you know, potentially offering bookkeeping service monthly. But then you have other people who are just going to be working with you maybe at the end of the year if they're a self-assessment client, although hopefully more frequently than that. And they're going to want a different kind of support. And I always used to think I need to divide my list. And so I have this lead magnet for these people and this for these people, and get them on and think, what do I have to say? And I think we have to not overcomplicate it because it's too much. And like, we just don't have time. I can already feel people thinking, oh no, I need to do this, but how am I ever going to fit it in?
Yeah, exactly. The last thing that you want is overwhelm. As soon as you become overwhelmed and you're thinking, oh, this is such an enormous task that I can't deal with it, that's when you're not going to do it. So the simpler you can keep it. It doesn't matter if there's people on your list who are never going to buy from you. They might end up being your biggest fans who end up going to an event where they're surrounded by your ideal client and they talk about you because you've been emailing them week in, week out. It doesn't matter if that individual person never spends any money with you. If they like you and they like what that you do, and you've demonstrated to them that you know what you're talking about, then they're more likely to go out and kind of create a buzz about you and generate referrals for you. And again, this is kind of going off on a bit of a tangent, but a lot of people I speak to come and say, oh, the only work I get, the only business I get is through referrals, as if that's a bad thing. But actually that's the most powerful kind of marketing you can do, word of mouth and referrals and recommendations, because you're already in the door and kind of not qualified, what's the right word? Like vetted almost. So when somebody says, oh, I'm working with Katie, or I think you should work with Katie on this, they don't even ask any questions. I've had people come and buy from me within 20 minutes because someone they trust has recommended me. So I don't have to do that trust building thing with them. Someone else has done it for me.
Yeah, it's so invaluable. Referrals are fantastic. And something I've just come to mind. We're talking here about marketing and getting new clients in, but what about the impact of having the clients that you've already got, and by keeping them in touch? You've got a client base and you're already serving those clients, to then receive an email from you talking about you and your personality. Surely that must help with retention of clients as well.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who, when they have an email list, and this generally happens when you have a slightly bigger list, but when somebody becomes a client, they become excluded, or they are automatically excluded from the newsletter list, because in that newsletter, usually you're doing some kind of promotional sales for the thing that they've already bought. I don't do that because I know that my clients get that value. And there's one of my clients in the chat who I can see is bigging me up. Thank you, Catherine. And she's going to stay on my list forever. I don't care. I don't care that she's a client, and she knows that I'm not still trying to sell to her, but we've got that email connection, and why would I exclude her from these additional pieces of information that might help? Or kind of my silly little, like a few weeks ago, I emailed about an app where you can scroll all the way to the bottom of the sea, and she showed it to her son. Like, if I'd taken her off the list at the point of her becoming a client, she wouldn't have seen that. So, although I suspect it was probably her that told me about it in the first place, but that's one for another day.
So that's really interesting. So you said that you tend to have things for sale, your selling section in your PS, and I suppose for bookkeepers it could be like, if you want to know more about this, you can message me here or reply or whatever, or book a call, etc. You would still send that out with that call to action, that the thing that tells people what to do next in your email. You wouldn't have a different list where you have like this email goes out, but it's topped and tailed in this way for someone who isn't a client, and topped and tailed in a different way for someone who is a client.
You can do that, but I don't bother, because I have such a personal connection with my clients, where in like our first kickoff session, I can just say to them, look, are you happy to keep getting the emails? I know that some of it will look like it's not relevant to you, but the rest of it will be. Are you all right with that? And all of them, in fact, I've never had anybody say, no, take me off the list. I don't want to be pretend sold to anymore. As long as you're kind of, it's almost a bit of self-awareness and going, look, I know that this is going to look like it's not really relevant to you, but the rest of it will be. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with your approach, what you're saying, Zoe, to do two separate ones where clients get one and non-clients get the other. However, I think that when you're just starting out, that's an extra level of complexity that might put some people off. So I just go keep it simple wherever you can.
Definitely. Me and Jo were both going to say, yes, absolutely.
We never do that, but we both really wanted to say at the same time. I absolutely think that is one of the things that would make me go, no, if I've got to create two lists, that's one step too far. Creating the content, having a list, sending it out is enough. And I think it's about like keep it simple, stupid, isn't it? Get it all out. And if later on down the line you think, actually, I've got this extra thing I'd like to say to my current clients, you can do that. But don't be the thing that stops you initially, because we are procrastination, perfectionists. All these things will stop us taking action. I think it was Kath that said it yesterday, imperfect action. Like, absolutely, just do it. It might not be like the most optimum perfect, but like you said, Katie, when you ask people, actually, they're not bothered. Again, we're showing them how you communicate, how you would market to new prospects. What business owner doesn't want to see how you're doing that? That's why Zoe signs up to loads of emails, so she can see how other people are doing that. They're grown up enough to know, well, I don't need to sign up for a discovery call right now because I'm already a client. They can figure that out themselves. So I think, I think this is fantastic. Okay, so you're a bookkeeper, you're watching this today, you've joined Bookkeepers Bootcamp, you're like, oh my goodness, I have not realized the power of email marketing to my current clients and to new potential. Say say you've got, you're starting out. Where do you start? What's the first thing you do to like step into becoming an email marketer?
Okay, so going like right back to the beginning, all you need is some kind of email marketing software. And I'm very happy for anybody to message me afterwards to ask for recommendations. I'm generally fairly system agnostic, but I can give some recommendations based on where people are. And just set yourself up with an email provider, get a form, embed it on your website, or a lot of the providers, you can just create a landing page with a form on it, and then you can link to the form. And then I would do just a really small piece of work. This can change, but I'd ask yourself 2 questions. What do I want out of this for myself and my subscribers? And how can I give more value, or what can I give to people that kind of meets those 2 objectives? Those are the first two questions I ask all of my clients in all of our kickoff sessions. Like, what do you want from it, and what can you give to other people in order to meet those objectives? And then just decide on how regularly you're going to email people, and start talking about it, and start getting people on your list, and then tweak from there.
Perfect. I think we can all start. It looks like there are lots of people who've joined your mailing list today, Katie.
Thank you, everyone.
And thank you. That's like, there's so much for us to go away and do, but also a really simple place for us all to start. Katie, how can people join your mailing list, and how can people find out more about what you do?
Okay, so to join my mailing list, just go to my website, which is littlegreenduck.co.uk, and there should be a link on there. The website is in stasis at the moment, so I will go and check. It seems like some people have managed to sign up though, so hopefully it's okay. And in terms of social media, the best place to find me is on LinkedIn, and I'm just Katie Skelton on LinkedIn. Perfect. You should be able to find me. Massive email weirdo, search for that and you'll find it.
Super. Oh, you would have a whole group of massive email weirdos now. Thank you so much, Katie. We've loved having a chat today, and thanks everyone who's come along and asked questions as well. It really helps us have like lots of interactive sessions and really answer the questions that you've got. We're going to be back, if you're joining for bootcamp, we're going to be back at 1 o'clock today, and then 5 o'clock. Don't miss 5 o'clock, because we're talking about how to go from 50k to 100k, and that will be exclusively in the 6-Figure Bookkeepers Club. So we'll see you later on today. Have a great morning. Bye, everybody.
Bye.